Good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya Merceran, and I am the BIOPAMA Regional Coordinator for Western Central Africa. I'm based in Senegal. And I am here with my colleagues Absa and Ben to present you the Action Fund's latest call for proposal that we just launched recently to tell you about what to do and how to do it to submit proposals. And we're supported by our team, Maria Marine and Maria Fernanda, who are also on the call to support in answering your question and provide clarifications to questions you might have had. So the presentation today will be as followed. I would do a brief introduction about the BIOPAMA program that will be followed by a technical presentation of the content for the technical proposal. And this will be followed by a financial presentation about questions related to budget and justification. And afterwards, we'll open the floor for questions and clarification you may have, so we can help you in submitting proposal in this call for proposal. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available in our YouTube channel and on our website. And please share it with your colleagues and partners so that they also can learn about what this proposal is about. And also we have a email address that will be shared with you later on that is available. And if you have other questions that we did not cover today, please feel free to ask these questions. So what is the BIOPAMA program? BIOPAMA stands for the Biodiversity and Protected Areas Management Program. We are currently in our second phase, and the program is funded by the European Union and the OACPS and is implemented in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific. And we have two implementing partners for this program, which are IUCN, the International Union for Conservation of Nature, as well as the Joint Research Center of the European Commission. The BIOPAMA program is organized in three key pillars. The first one is the observatory, the regional observatory. So in West Africa, we have OBAPAO, which is Observatory for Protected Areas and Biodiversity in West Africa. And in Central Africa, we have OFAC, which is Observatory for Forests of Central Africa. So these observatories are a platform where different partners, facilitators, donors, country representatives can meet in order to exchange experience, to exchange information, to share strategies so we can have a deeper and more important impact on the ground, and so that we can also create synergies in our initiatives. So these observatories have within them a reference information system that is a database where we really, when we collect data, they are made available on these platforms so that the users and the providers of this data can meet one another, share information, and then it will be up to the observatory to produce knowledge products, advocacy products, policy briefs, and all sorts of documents that could be helpful for decision makers at several levels, could be local, national, regional, and even global, so that the decisions that will be taken are based on real facts and will really have key impacts on the ground in the future. So this is the rationale of BIOPAMA, and then there is also the action component, which is the key reason we are meeting today. And the action component is a component that was added in the second phase of BIOPAMA in order to have tangible and concrete activities on the ground, so that the relevance of data that we talk about in the first two pillars, which are the observatory and the reference information system, to have it make sense on the ground, because these information are used to develop the projects that we implement along with key partners and that we monitor closely, not only to support the conservation strategy of the countries, but also to produce data that will be shared with the observatory, and then we'll continue the cycle in supporting conservation in the region. So we are talking today about the launch of the second medium grant call for BIOPAMA in West and Central Africa. So this is our fifth call for proposal. That is a bit different from the others because it is separated in two phases. There is the concept note phase and the full proposal phase. So in order to talk about that in more details, I'm gonna hand on to Ben, who will present you the technical aspects of this call for proposal. She will be followed by Absa, who will be talking about the financial aspects. Thank you very much. Ben?
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your interest on BIOPAMA Action Component. For this presentation, we will see the BIOPAMA Action Component objective, the action component in Western Central Africa, this whole objective, the key information like eligibility, submission process, and technical evaluation, and finally, the environmental and social management system in the due diligence. The BIOPAMA Action Component objective are to enhance the management and governance of priority areas by addressing existing limitations, to reinforce the legal framework required to achieve effective biodiversity conservation, and to support local communities' initiatives aiming to enhance the livelihood of local people. And the BIOPAMA Action Component in West and Central Africa, 30 projects have been implemented in the region and concern 5 types of grants. We have medium grant, rapid response grant, small technical grant, and small technical grant for evaluation. And the country concerned, the following countries are concerned. The thematic covered by these grants implemented are enhancing monitoring and surveillance system, acquisition of equipment, capacity building for stakeholders, and improvement of livelihood for local communities. To continue the action component implementation, the objective of this call for proposal is to address priorities for action identified through management and governance effectiveness assessment like IMET, MET, or Green List evaluation. And for this call, the financial allocation is 2.9 million euros, and a grant can be up to 200,000 euros. Please note that a 5% co-funding from the applicants is required. And of this 2.9 million euros, 1.7 million is reserved for priority countries. And those priority countries are Cameroon, Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, Gabon, Senegal, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, Cabo Verde, and Sierra Leone. However, all other countries in West and Central Africa are also eligible, a total of 26 countries. You can find also the list complete on the guidelines. The duration of a project must be 18 months, and all projects must end on September 2024. Please note that the start date of the project will be determined by the date of the signature of the grant contract. And for eligible actor, in order to be eligible to this grant, the applicant as lead applicant or acting individually or with co-applicant must be a registered legal entity and be directly responsible for the preparation and management of the grant, and be also a non-profit making and be established in the targeted eligible country. And for the organization eligible can be protected and conserved area or a network of protected area. Organization can be also national civil society, national NGO, or other non-profit organization. The organization can be also a national authority or agency. All these organizations can apply as applicant or co-applicant. However, a EU member state or a regional or international organization can apply as co-applicant, provided that some conditions are satisfied. The following conditions are proven successful experience in the targeted ACP countries, proven experience of action in the field, proven successful experience of collaboration with national and local government, formal support from the relevant national authorities, very important, proven agreement and co-design of the proposal with national or local government. And for the eligible activities, to be eligible, an activity must be located in one or several priority areas of Western and Central countries in Africa. Activity must also address clearly formulated priorities identified with an evaluation. This is mandatory for this code. And also for eligible activities, activities need to be consistent with the BIOPAMA Action Component objective and to implement concrete conservation activities on the ground and achieve tangible results. Activities must comply with the ICN ESMS, Environmental and Social Management System. Activities must enable sharing of project data and information with the relevant BIOPAMA Regional Observatory. And these are some examples of eligible activities. They can be protected and or conserved area planning and management activities, activities aimed at reinforcing the governance and equitable management model in place, law enforcement activities, and activities aimed at reinforcing the international and legal framework. Activities on focusing on threat mitigation in priority areas, activities focusing on climate change mitigation, and activities aiming at improving sustainable livelihood of local communities. And what about ineligible activities? These activities are like financial support to third parties through sub-grant, purchase of land or involuntary resettlement of people, activities on indigenous people land on territories without having obtained their free, prior, and informed consent. And how to apply? All applications should be submitted on the BIOPAMA Action Component portal. And to submit an application, you need to create an account. On action.biopama.org, you can follow the instruction and create your account. Once your account is created, you have access on the portal, and you need first to complete your profile, and then you have a dashboard that where you can find all the information, all the sections that you need to submit your application. Please note that the concept not, you can complete it offline and then upload it in the portal. And you can save the information as draft. And if all the information is completed, you can click in the submit button. And please note here that once submitted, you can't make any changes in the application. And for the document, at the concept stage, applicants are requested to submit the concept technical proposal, the full governance and management effectiveness assessment report that cannot be more than 3 years. The applicant and co-applicant sign declaration in case that you have a co-applicant, the letter of support from national authorities, the due diligence questionnaire, and necessary supporting document. And finally, you have the simplified environmental and social management system questionnaire. This is just 5 simple questions at this stage. And for the deadlines, The portal will be available next week, and the deadline to submit a concept note is the 10th of April 2022. For successful concept note, the deadline to submit a full proposal is the 10th of June 2022. And how the application will be evaluated. We have 5 criteria, and the total point is 35 points, and the threshold to pass the technical assessment is 20 points. It means that concept note with a score of 20 or higher will be notified and invited to submit a full proposal, provided that the due diligence and ESMS review have been successful. It is very important. And the due diligence. The due diligence aims to evaluate the capacity of the applicants to manage BIOPAMA funds. You have to complete a questionnaire and submit the supporting document. And what about the environmental and social management system? BIOPAMA funded project must comply with the IEC and environmental and social management system. At the concept stage, applicant will be required to answer 5 ESMS preliminary questions to identify any potential environmental or social risk of the project. And in order to have more detail on this call or proposal, you can be on action.biopama.org. And for further clarification or all issues with the portal, you can contact our team on biopama.ac.info.wca@iecn.org. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ben, for all of these questions, for all these clarifications that you've provided. We only have one question so far, so I think we can take it before passing on to Absa. In the meantime, Absa, can you please put your presentation on the screen and be ready? We have a question from Anna. Hi, everyone. Is it important to have a co-applicant? Does BIOPAMA strongly recommend it? Should it be national or international? Well, thank you for this question. Like Ben mentioned, co-applicants are not mandatory. However, it is strongly encouraged, especially that if the organization that you represent is an international organization, you have to apply yourself as a co-applicant, and the lead applicant has to be either the local management of the protected area or the centralized institution, national institution responsible for it. And then you get to apply as an international organization as a co-applicant. And the reason for that is to build capacity for the national and the institutions and the communities who live closely with the protected area. This is important for BIOPAMA, that in the future, the countries are better tooled to carry on conservation actions in their protected areas. We have another question from Liz. Can you be a co-applicant, not lead, in more than one project within the WCA region? Yes, you can. Marine might complete that if needed. Marine?
Hi, Tanya. Thanks. Sorry, my sound is really bad. Could you please repeat the question?
Can you be a co-applicant in more than one project within the WCA region?
Yes, you can. For the co-applicant, there's no limit, as long as it is proven that you have the capacity to manage the activities for all the different grants as a co-applicant.
Thank you very much, Marine. And thank you to Liz and Anna for their questions. Now we will pass on to Absa, who will be presenting us the financial aspect of this call for proposal. Absa, over to you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Absa. I'm the Finance and Admin Manager of the BIOPAMA project. So I will start my presentation with the finance aspect of this project. because we cannot talk about a project without financial resources. So we will share with us these policies and procedures that we are sharing with the European Union. As you know, this project is funded by EU. So in this call for proposal, it's divided in two stages. The first one is the submission of the concept note. In this stage, we are not asking for a lot of information, but also it's important for us to share with you what we are expecting from you. And when this concept note is authorized, we will go to the second stage, which is the submission of the full proposal. For the submission of the full proposal of the concept note, sorry, this is an error. So we are not asking for a lot of information. We are just looking for the project globally in terms of budget. What is the total amount? What is the cost of the personnel? What is the cost of the travel, equipment suppliers, and other costs and services? This is just the budget line details that we are asking at this stage. Then we come to the submission of the full proposal of the budget. So here we are asking for more details for us to understand how the budget is built and to discuss with you the rationale of this budget. So we are just mentioning that the budget must be clear, efficient, realistic, and aligned with the activities as the budget is supposed to implement the project activities. We are also expecting a clear description of the nature of costs and the calculation details, and also to remember that all expenditures justifications are mandatory. So we are expecting to have the full explanation of all expenditures. The budget of the medium grants is based on reimbursement of actual costs or simplified cost option, where appropriate, and or on combination thereof. The project will be funded 95% by BIOPAMA, and the co-financing is 5%, expecting from the partner who is submitting the project. The financial support to third parties, the grantees, is not allowed. Small technical grant size can vary from a minimum of 100,000 euro to a maximum of 200,000 euro. Salaries are defined according to real staff costs. So here, the timesheet submission is mandatory when the budget is built according real costs. And also the partners have the ability to ask for indirect costs, and the maximum is 7%. All budget line must be justified by comments with supporting figures. As I just say, figures only cannot explain for you what you need. So we are expecting to have clear comments for us to understand the budget. And the budget is built around 6 sections. And we will go through each section to give some details to guide on how to build the budget. So section 1, personnel. Here, if the partner option is simplified costs, we are expecting to have the contract of the staff and their job description, so we can agree on the fixed costs for personnel. If it's a real cost, these supporting documents are not required. So section 2, transport. Here, we just ask for some information to evaluate how the budget efficiency is. So if, for instance, you are in your budget some monitoring visit, we are expecting from you guys to give us the distances of the overland trip, so we can have an idea of on what quantity of fuel is required to cover monitoring visits. We will also need per diem policies, the number of workshops, the number of participants, local transportation reimbursement policies, if you have this kind of policies in your organization, so it will help us to build the cost as efficient as possible. So section 3 is talking about equipments and suppliers for the project. Here also, the only choice is the real cost. We cannot go for simplified costs in this section. So just to remember you guys, when you are building your budget, to pay attention on how this activities will be implemented in the field. So for instance, when you are organizing workshops, just bear in mind that you cannot pay full per diems to participants, because this is supposed to be taking place in a hotels or in a place that people are expecting to have lunch, coffee break together. So you can pay only for per diems for the dinner, incidental, something like that, and also the transportation for resident people. So section 4, local office. For this section, you can have the choice to go for real cost or simplified cost. It's up to you guys. But when you select to go on simplified cost option, we are expecting from you all allocation percentage between projects in the portfolio to share this information with us, so we can have an idea on how you determine the percentage of this fixed costs that you are charging to BIOPAMA. And also for fixed cost element of the office, like rent, contract, the last water, electricity, internet, and maintenance bill, or costs that are fixed and are shared between projects in your portfolio. We need to have evidence on how costs are built, so we can validate your budget. In section 5, all the cost services, it's the same remark that the section 3. So I will not develop this part. And we have the section 6. In this section also, we will need to have the number of visits and cost per visits, and also to have an idea on how we will implement the communication around the project. For instance, we will need to know the frequencies of the communication, and also the communication means that you are using for the project. So this is a template of the budget, so you can have an idea on how the budget will be look like at the end of the day. So as I mentioned, the budget cannot be more than 200,000 euros. And also we need to have a budget on the expenditure verification line, and this is up to 6,000. This is mandatory as the project will be audited. And you can have budget in all lines here mentioned in this budget templates. And the more detail you give us, the more efficient it will be for us to understand your budget. So we will need to know all unit costs, the unit price, and the total cost of each line, and also a comment for us to have a good understanding of what is behind the figures. So the budget is here. And also, as I mentioned, we will ask you to submit timesheet for all the staff when the option is the real cost. As you know, in an organization, some people are working in more than one project. And in this case, we need to have a timesheet so we can have an idea on how slot of time is spent in each project, so we can charge the project accordingly. So here we have the BIOPAMA project in the first line. For instance, if a staff has spent 2 hours in the day 2 of the month, we need to have here 2, and the other hours, normally 6 hours, should be in the other project and activities line. And this timesheet is monthly. We submit it on a monthly basis, and the employee should sign, and also the supervisor should sign. If this is not done, the timesheet will not be accepted. And also mention always the months that we are referring to. This is the key information that we are expecting to see in each timesheet. So when the option is simplified costs, the timesheet will not be required. Cost option, real cost or combined cost option. So here, the partner has the choice to go for simplified costs or real costs. But just in some line, we have the possibility to go for simplified costs. And this line has the human resources, local transportation if the organization is using his own vehicles, per diem for missions, and local offices. This is a 4 budget line where we can have simplified cost option. And all the other lines are budgeted on real cost basis. So we will give you just here some example of eligible costs according to the budget template and organization. And also here we would like to remember you guys some document that will be required when we come to the financial report submission. The eligible costs are the staff costs, the equipment, the office cost, cost of services for the monitoring and evaluation costs, communication activities. All information in brackets are required when we come to the financial report submission. So you can have a look and see how you will prepare your financial report submission. We have also some non-eligible costs like debts and debt services charges, I mean interest, provision for losses or potential future liabilities, costs declared by the beneficiary and financed by another action or work program, purchase of land or buildings, in-kind contributions, currency exchange loss, credit to third parties, costs leading to personal or private profits. Real cost versus simplified cost option. In real cost option, estimate costs are entered into budget. Reimbursement is based on actual costs, subject to strict financial reporting guidelines. Every year funded expenditure requires supporting documents. And in the other hand, when we come to simplified cost option, for this grant, simplified cost option is optional. So you guys have the choice or to go for all the budget on real cost option, or in this 4 line I just mentioned in my presentation, you can choose to have option simplified costs, and for the other line, no choice, we will go for real costs. So this was the information that we were sharing with you. So now when you have some questions, we are open to you. You have the floor. And thank you so much for your interest and all your time spending with us to have an idea of the expectation of BIOPAMA for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Absa, for this very informative presentation. Now we are open to questions. I don't see any questions in the chat, so perhaps the people who are connected would like to ask a question. If so, please take the floor and ask your question. All right, well, if there are no more questions, I would like to thank you all for your attention, and please be reminded that this session is recorded and will be shared on the BIOPAMA channels and also on YouTube for you to have access to in the future, and for you to also share with other people who might be interested. And at any time, I have shared with you in the chat the email address to which we can be reached, in case you might have any question that comes in your mind afterwards. I also added the link to the website so you can have all of the guidelines where you will find the information presented to you today, and also the templates that you should fill in order to submit your proposal. So once again, in the name of the whole BIOPAMA team, thank you very much for your interest, and we look forward to working with you. Have a great evening.
Bye.